Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of our Brown Bears Sports Report. I'm your host, Scott Cordisci. Glad you could join us. The Brown Bears Sports Report, brought to you each week by United Healthcare. You put care into everything that you do. United Healthcare does too. United Healthcare, health plans that care for you and your family every step of the way. See what care can do at uhc.com. Well, joining us this week on the Brown Bears Sports Report, it gives me great pleasure to welcome the Brown women's crew team, and let's say hello to their head coach, John Murphy. Coach Murphy, how are you?
Good, fine, happy to be here.
Well, thank you for being with us. And you brought with you three of your student athletes. First, a senior from La Jolla, California, Margot Kelly. Margot, how are you?
Great, thank you for having me.
Well, thank you for being with us, Margot. And a junior from Silver Spring, Maryland is with us, Freya Keto. Freya, how are you?
I'm well. Yeah, thanks for doing this.
Well, thank you for being with us on the show. And a sophomore, is it from Cernay, France? I know you went to high school in California. Elise Carmen is with us. Elise, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. Thanks for having us.
And
you pronounced it. Yep, perfect.
Okay. Good. Well, thank you all for being with us. Looking forward to talking to you over the next 20 to 30 minutes. Coach Murphy, we'll start with you. Obviously, difficult times, as we learned just a couple of weeks ago that unfortunately spring sports were put on hold once again. And so this really marks the second straight season, a second straight spring, I should say, that your team has had its season canceled. I guess there's some hope that maybe if things improve, you can put together some type of schedule. But what are your thoughts right now, Coach Murphy, on how things are?
Well, first, this is our new renovated boathouse, so I have been looking around. I'm very happy to be back in. So basically, we have athletes ready to go. We have boats down here. We've got a body of water. We're all set. We just need Brown to give us the go-ahead. And then we have opponents nearby, URI, BU, BC, Northeastern, and who are happy to race us, looking forward to it. But again, we are working with the powers that be on College Hill and working continuously all day into the night. And we're hoping to have some good results soon.
Well, you mentioned that new boathouse. How is it? And I would imagine this will be something really helpful in terms of recruiting, right? Being able to show off this nice, newly renovated facility.
Oh, I think so. Yeah, I think it definitely. And it's from top to bottom in the interior. And it's just, we have air conditioning in the erg rooms. And the team has not been allowed to go in the locker room, which is pretty nice. Not like the football locker room, but very nice. And but I don't think anybody is on campus allowed to go in locker rooms yet. Maybe they are, but I think they're going to find that quite a change. And yeah, we threw out a lot of stuff that had been, needed to go, and we're excited. So.
Margot, you're a senior, and obviously, as we just talked about, for the second straight spring, no spring sports. Of course, you guys also compete in the fall, and you weren't able to do that this past fall. How much do you miss it? How much do you miss the competition?
I missed it a lot. It was a real bummer to hear the decision made earlier this spring, but I think we've been able to come together and kind of mimic some of that competitive spirit that we normally are so used to on the water since we've gone back into the boathouse. And that's really been kind of an uplift in my day and something to really look forward to.
As a freshman, you earned a silver with the third varsity 8 at the Ivy Championships. The team finished third. And then as a sophomore, your team finished second at the Ivies. I'm sure you were hoping that as a junior and as a senior, that right, you're going to improve and make it first place in the Ivies, and hoping for great things to come.
Yeah, definitely. I walked onto this team when I was a freshman, so I didn't have any experience before, and I think it was really fun to progress throughout the years. And so it was quite a bummer to have both my junior and senior year taken away, but I think we're really hopeful that we'll get back on the water real soon. And we do. We're really excited to start racing in April.
Freya, same question to you. As a freshman, you were on the third varsity 8 and went 6-2 in that boat. As a sophomore, you rolled in the fall before the spring season was canceled. What do you miss most about, not being able to compete with your teammates?
I think just seeing that kind of pushing each other to find like new limits, which we still are able to do, but it's kind of not the same, because that's really why we all do it at the end of the day, to kind of have the chance to put ourselves out like on the line.
Elise, you kind of dipped your toe in the water, so to speak, as a freshman, right? In the fall, you placed 7th out of 47 with the B varsity 8 down at Princeton. And then that was it for you. So I'm sure you're itching to get back in the water with your teammates and have things return to normal pretty soon.
Yeah, as you mentioned, I would really like to get in some more racing pretty soon. That'd be really fun. I think that definitely what I missed the most about the competition is just not being allowed to train with the others in a boat has really shown me like how much of a privilege it is to be able to row with 7 other very fit athletes, and training on my own on the erg or in a single boat. It really is a different feeling, and it really made me realize that yeah, it's such a privilege to be able to row at Brown and in team boats.
So you're from France, but you went to high school in California. Is that correct?
Yeah. So I grew up in France until I turned 10, and then I moved to California.
Okay. And how did you wind up here at Brown University?
So I was very shy of those big schools, especially Brown. So it took me a while to reach out. But eventually, Alex, our assistant coach, took interest in me. After this injury that I had my junior year, I had to pull some interesting stunts through single races to catch their attention. And eventually Alex was like, okay, you seem fast. And I took a lot of interest in Brown because it seemed like, first of all, amazing athletic opportunities, but also very interesting academic opportunities through the open curriculum and many of its surrounding opportunities like RISD that really interested me.
Margot, you mentioned that you walked on to the team. I'm curious as to how you wound up at Brown. Did your dad playing football at Brown have a lot to do with you winding up here?
Yeah, well, kind of. I hated Brown because of my dad, and so I only applied because he forced me. But I think once I got in and visited, I really fell in love with the school. And he is also kind of why I got into rowing, because I knew he had such a great experience with the football team and really wanted me to participate in some sort of varsity athletics at Brown. And yeah, so I found crew over the summer and joined, and it's been a great experience ever since.
Freya, I read on your bio on brownbears.com that maybe one of the main reasons that you selected Brown was you love the idea of the open curriculum and being able to chart your own course academically. Is that true?
Yeah, I think it's really important that like the individuals who are the ones taking the classes are the ones kind of deciding what they want to do. And I think that at Brown, people have such a strong idea of kind of the changes they want to see in the world around them that's really important to me.
And I understand you have dual citizenship in the UK as well. And were you or are you trying to compete and or qualify for the Olympics or do something back in the United Kingdom?
No, not the Olympics, but yeah, my mom is from England, and so I'm just doing some under 23 stuff, hopefully.
Gotcha. Coach, speaking of the Olympics, Sicily Madden from the class of 18, a former rower of yours, she was down at the Olympic trials in Sarasota where she finished 6th just a couple of weeks ago. I'll be speaking with her for an upcoming Brown Bears podcast pretty soon. And I think she'll be competing again or trying to qualify in New Jersey next month. Is that your understanding?
Yes, yep. She'll be in a double with Jevy Stone, where she was in the World Championship last time they held it. And yeah, she's a lot faster than 6th. Said she learned some lessons down there, and I'm sure she'll be back with a vengeance. And I think she has a lot of years. She graduated in 2018, and rowing has been a huge part of her life. So she might be one of those people that goes on and on. Her doubles partner, Jevy Stone, who's a doctor but still rowing, I think is 36, and just can't seem to give it up, and extremely fit. So I think, yeah, Sicily will do well, and she'll be around for a long time. So.
Well, you mentioned that she'll be rowing in the double, and she's had some success in the double. I believe down in Sarasota, it was a single scull, was it not?
It was a single, yeah. They started, I think there were, I forget how many women, 8 women maybe, and the same with the men. And the one who won the last time, Caracola won, and then Jevy Stone was second, and then Sicily was third all the way to the, in the rep, I think. But she maybe got a little too ambitious early on, but we talked to her after, and she's all ready to go. So.
Coach, you've had unbelievable success here at Brown. In your 37th season as head coach, you've won 7 national championships. You've made 23 straight NCAA appearances since competition began 23 years ago. I guess my question to you, the same question I asked of the ladies. You were at, I think, Cal Berkeley in Washington, back at Cal before coming to Brown. How did you wind up here 37 years ago?
The head coach at the time was a guy named Steve Gladstone, who's the head coach of men's rowing at Yale. And he was here, and he called me up. We had won we had novice rowing then. We had won the national championship, and it wasn't an NC2A, it was a lesser thing, but up in Seattle. And he called me up and said, this job is opening up, and we'd love to fly you back and see what you think. And I was living in California, and life was good, and I thought, gee, maybe I'll pass on that. And then I thought about it, and I said, I'm not going to miss this, and I've never regretted a moment of it since. So.
Well, I mean, what you've done here, like I said, is really nothing short of amazing. How have you and Phoebe done it? I mean, you have built really the preeminent women's rowing program in the NCAAs, and all the success you've had. Is there a particular secret to your success?
I think it's the people we've had here. I think the kind of people that I would say that choose this curriculum are kind of motivated, confident, and when they make a commitment, they come down. When they walk in these gates, it's all about rowing. When they leave, it's about academics. And they've just been incredible, and we've been fortunate, the people we had. And then a lot of people say any success I've had is a result of Phoebe, which I won't deny. So, but yeah.
Margot, this is your senior year, so you'll be graduating in the spring. I'm curious, and I certainly hope that you all get on the water for some form of competition this spring, but I'm curious, is there one moment that stands out, maybe as you look back at your 4 years here at Brown as a member of the women's crew team, that stands out that you remember fondly?
Yeah, I think there are many moments. I think we can look at individual races where I've won and felt really happy, or walked through a boat or won a seat race. But I think ultimately at the end of the day, some of my favorite memories come from just finishing a really hard Saturday practice with a team and sitting in our weight room, listening to the Murphys talk and watching all of the steam come off of all of my teammates as we're all dripping in sweat, dying on the floor. I think those are the biggest memories that I'll take away with me.
Freya, how about, do you have a favorite place to race? I know you've been, rowing for a couple of years here for the program. Is there a particular favorite spot that you like to race, either here on the Seekonk or somewhere on the road?
I think just racing in the bay on the Seekonk is one of my favorite places when it's really flat. You can kind of see the Providence cityscape, and you can get 4 boats across pretty easily. And so it's really dynamic out there.
Elise, you're now in your sophomore year here at Brown, and I'm curious, as a freshman, what was it like for you juggling your time, the time management aspect of being a full-time student at an Ivy League school, and also the commitment that it takes to be a student athlete for a program like the women's crew team? That in itself is like a full-time job. How did you find that when you arrived here on campus last fall?
I thought it was definitely very daunting at first. I was given some support that I really appreciated. So, for example, we're putting groups that our team organizes, peer advising groups. I had access to some tutoring groups, which were really helpful. Um, what was challenging is that I wanted to do everything. I wanted to be part of clubs, and I wanted to attend office hours and go to talks, and I had to compromise on naturally. But the part where it actually became even more challenging was spring of my freshman year, where I joined a club called Fashion at Brown and was rowing, keeping an academic schedule, and making a fashion show. So the coaches were well aware of that. And by the time my fashion show came up, I had practice, a midterm, and my fashion show. And the coaches were like, okay, we know this is coming up. You can leave 30 minutes early. Go take care of that.
I assume that you believe that sleep is overrated, right? I'm not sure how you were managed to squeeze any sleep in during that time period.
Sleep is not overrated. As Phoebe emphasizes, we definitely need to eat. We definitely need to sleep. So how we fit that in our time, not too sure. Just try really hard.
Margot, what is your concentration and what are your plans for after graduation?
Yeah, so I'm concentrating in economics, and after graduation, I'll be working for the New York Federal Reserve Bank, and I'll be working in their markets group.
Wow, so you already have a job lined up.
Yeah, I'm just riding senior year through.
That's terrific. Well, congratulations to you. Freya, how about you? What is your concentration? And ultimately, what do you see yourself doing after graduation next spring?
I'm a history concentrator, so right now the door is wide open, but maybe I think I'd be really interested in doing something in academia, whether that be teaching or just kind of furthering my studies and focus.
Elise, have you settled on a concentration? I know you don't have to decide right away when you come in, but have you decided on one yet?
Yeah, so far I'm set on computer science and international and public affairs. And we'll see if both happen.
Okay, and you mentioned taking classes at RISD. Was that fashion
Yeah.
thing you told us about? I assume was that through RISD?
Yes, actually the fashion show was with a club, but I did take a fashion class with RISD, which was very, very interesting.
Okay. Coach, these are very challenging times, obviously, for all of us dealing with the pandemic. How has it changed recruiting? I know we've had a big dead period here, but is it a situation where now everything's virtual and you have to watch what film you can get on the computer? How has it gone for you in terms of recruiting?
This last class, since it had only been, the spring, wasn't so hard. We got an excellent class. And some of it was, based on videos rather than seeing someone in action. But we got an excellent class. And something that happened that I thought was interesting is that because prospective students knew there weren't going to be official visits, they didn't have the same amount of time. And if they were going to end up at the school they wanted, they had to commit early. So we had our whole class committed, excellent class, in August, pretty much. We were all set. And I don't know, this next year, well, actually though, we've backtracked, the high schools are all rowing. It's Brown that's being held back. And so we are getting results of people, and so far so good, I think.
Under normal circumstances, Coach, how do you and your staff identify talent to recruit into your program? What are you looking for?
First, it has to be somebody that I think really appreciates what Brown has to offer. And I think the curriculum is unbelievable. I think many people have chosen Brown for this curriculum, gone on and done great things. I think the engineering school, again, the option of being able to take what you want and not be all out. I think so. Finding the people that really like that, and then we're obviously looking for athletic talent and people that can stick with something. They're not just trying something. And if we can get somebody with some talent and some enthusiasm that's going to really be happy here, really enjoy it, then I think we can work with that. And I think that's what we're looking for. So.
Margot, I assume last spring you went home to La Jolla like everybody did when the pandemic started. I'm curious, some of the things that you did during the pandemic to maybe stay in shape. I can think of a lot worse places to spend the pandemic than La Jolla, California. I've been there myself, and it's such a beautiful area.
Yeah, it was really nice to go home. The weather really helped, even though my heart was still at Brown. But yeah, keeping shape over this past year has been really easy because, again, we really work together well as a team to hold each other accountable. And our competitive spirit doesn't just stay at Brown. It follows us really wherever we go. And so whether it be workouts or Zoom calls, we really just try to stay connected and to inspire each other to keep pushing through.
Freya, were you able to row at all during the pandemic, or is it more stuff like running and staying in shape from a cardio standpoint? What did you do during the pandemic to stay in shape?
Well, I was actually in Providence for most of the summer, so I joined a local club and was able to scull the whole summer, which I hadn't really had a chance to do before. So that was really fun, and I got to do it with some teammates, and I met some new people during it. And then my housemates and I would put the ergs in the backyard and do workouts together in the 90-degree heat. So it was definitely fun, but we had the camaraderie of it.
Sure. Elise, how about you? Were you back in California during the pandemic?
Yes, I was. And during much of the summer, I did some running, some erging, some sculling. One of the things that I did that kind of helped diversify it all was I picked up a bike messenger job. So I was on this bike for 9 hours a day, and I think that really helped me kind of get some diversity in there while really exhausting myself. So it was nice.
Margot, when times were normal, and obviously you had classes, you had homework, you had practice and or competition, when you weren't doing those things and you had free time, what do you like to do with your free time? Do you have any hobbies? Do you have any particular things that you like to do?
I really just like to hang with my teammates and, sit at the ratty for 2+ hours on end on a Friday or a Saturday after practice. And really just get food and hang out and sit on the main green during Wednesdays. Just a lot of good quality time.
Freya, do you have a favorite spot on campus that you like to hang out, be it on Thayer Street, the main green, or somewhere else?
I think the quiet green, when it's nice out with the view of the hill, is really nice.
Yeah. Elise, how about you? When you have free time, and it sounds to me like you don't have much of it, but when you do have free time, what do you like to do with it?
Oh gosh. I really do like the arts, as I think transpired. So I really like illustrating and drawing on my iPad, which I sometimes do during class. So not my free time, but that's what I do.
So, Coach, we're now in a situation where obviously spring sports like yours are in a holding pattern, and hopefully things get, improve and get moved to the next level where you might be able to start having some competitions locally within a 40-mile radius. Is that your hope?
That's definitely the hope, and that's what we're pushing for and training for. And if you know anyone, Scott, up there who makes the call, it would help us. But no, we're optimistic. And again, the Ivy presidents have made it kind of a daunting path, a challenge. But we're optimistic that we can get out and get racing, and we have opponents that are willing to join in race with us. So
I think that's great, because I think unlike maybe some other sports where they might have trouble scheduling teams within a 40-mile radius because those other teams might be in their league schedules and not have the time to schedule non-league competition, you have told me that you have schools within that radius that are more than willing to compete against Brown.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, people we've known for a long time, the coaches, and they're good teams. they've all been to the NC2A one time or another, and they're willing to help us in any way that Brown will allow. So
Does that speak to the closeness of the crew community in general?
I think it's good. It's funny, with that over the years that, you race people, you compete against them, you want to beat them, but then if anything happens to them, you get very defensive. And I think there is a certain closeness with that. Not on race day, but all the other times.
Coach, last question for you. Margot is a senior. You will have some graduating seniors in just a few months. Do you have any words that you'd like to give to your senior class that will be graduating?
Well, I think, I think they'll be fine. I will be cheering them on always. But I just think they've demonstrated so much character and determination and all along the line that I think they'll be fine. And they know just what to do when they walk down the hill. So.
Well, Margot, again, I hope that there is some competition in your future before graduation with your teammates. Whether or not there is, congratulations on your new job, and thank you for representing Brown Women's Crew and Brown University so well over the last 4 years.
Thank you so much. It was really a pleasure to talk today.
Margot, Freya, Elise, thank you all. Coach Murphy, thank you. It's the Brown Women's Crew team, our guest this week on the Brown Bears Sports Report.
This has been a presentation of Learfield IMG College.